Hey fellas, as well, before I get into the meat of this video, we're definitely going to be addressing some of the my spoilers from the series so far, which build on what I've already talked about in these vlogs, was my other Marvel videos. I was regarding how I definitely said this would be the window of the multiverse, first, the way you would introduce the X-Men in this continuity now that the movies from Disney and Fox have been finalized. And especially, they wanted to bring back characters to survive the Infinity Saga. One of the ways to do so would be to use alternate timelines. I didn't say, hey, what times I'd be from, so it's kind of my thumbnail. Now that the Evan Peters Pietro is here we can definitely get started. So, with my 90s outfit ready and on, we can now address WandaVision and with my vlog of Ep.6, the all-new Halloween Spooktacular, going from the 80s to the very experimental 90s, and I gotta say, I like how they approached that with this theme song, the editing, and less of the laugh tracks relying on all the previous decades. Like, definitely more my kind of sitcom. I think this might be my favorite episode of the season so far. Not just the time grouping, but also how a lot of ones start to experiment more, relying on on characters, interactions, and quirkiness rather than puns and laugh tracks to derive the jokes. And I also definitely like all the Easter eggs in here. They finally find a way to make those campy costumes from the 60s work in a non-comic medium. And even with what I've been hearing about some of the behind the scenes stuff, I know I mentioned that one about uh, uh, the vetoing in Vision's naughty bits before, but again, I've also further elaborated how Olsen was also a model before she got into acting, which was the opposite trajectory her sisters took. Initially they redesigned her costume, because she didn't want to wear the most revealing ones that had in the comic, which she and the filmmakers agreed to. This version is a bit more modest, but I'm actually kind of glad they made it work. And also, really Quicksilver and the Kids variants in this one as well. It actually reminds me a lot of some of the Jim Lee designs that had in the comic as well, so that's definitely something. As for some of the other background bits, maybe bleeding into the early 2000s as well. Again, it actually does fit the setting and how the reality keeps changing shape all around them. And definitely an example of how nothing is as it seems, and it's definitely not the first kind of mind-bending series I've seen adapted from one of the comics. I really love Legion, for example, also. But whereas David Howler, or whether you're going for the comic or the show, was definitely affected by Charles's absence, and Wanda, it's clear that even if it's having any adverse effects on the world around her, it's understandable based on what she's went through. I will say, this one bit near the middle of the episode does still make me want a Marvel Zombies adaptation in the near future. I mean, and the Yo Magic commercial, that's definitely like a very dark version of those stop motion ads I actually had in that time frame. And definitely like the kind of subversiveness, and hopefully they can keep this up for any future series I've got in mind. Like I finally saw like Falcon and Winter Soldier preview. We'll definitely talk about that at again another time. And definitely do my best to see what else is going to be going on. I know that I have a lot I can potentially do. Who, since we're basically nearing the halfway point this month. Valentine doesn't really bother me either way, but I definitely can say that this year the Ox is still going to be a fruitful one. especially the year my brother was born in, and there's only a couple episodes left in the season, and definitely glad there's also much more breathing room until Falcon Winter Soldier starts in March, as well as like the Snyder cut, and definitely be plenty to address so the next few days then. So anyway, it's probably safe for now, and for all my viewers who are celebrating the new year, I say, hey gong, hey fat joy, everyone.